Every year, Chris makes a triple chocolate cake as his offering for a potluck dinner for our annual Texas Fall Hammock Hang. And it's a hit. In fact, it's such a good hit, he decided he wanted to show folks how he makes it. So we're going to make one tonight. Chris, what kind of cake is this?
A triple chocolate cake.
Okay, so we've got a triple chocolate cake mix. That's triple chocolate fudge right there. And what else goes in?
Dark chocolate chips.
So we've got dark chocolate chips. What are the other ingredients we need to have ready?
3 eggs.
3 eggs. What else?
Half cup of oil.
Okay.
And 1 cup of water.
Okay, so 3 eggs, half a cup of oil, a cup of water, some chocolate chips, that cake mix. And when we take it out of the oven, what are we going to put on it?
Dark chocolate frosting.
Okay, I bet this is going to be delicious. We're going to get the pot ready, and then we're going to get the ingredients all mixed together, put that in the pot, and then we'll get it out on the fire in just a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is get the pot ready. We've already taken a little bit of Pam, and we've sprayed that inside our Dutch oven. We're going to use a parchment paper liner so that it comes out easily. The reason we put the Pam in is to help the parchment paper stay in place. So Chris, go ahead and put that parchment paper in. So what's going to happen is we'll put the cake mix in here. That will make it easy to pull that cake out when we're done, and we'll really have a nice, easy to clean pot too in the process. Since we're using a store-bought cake mix, the dry ingredients are all mixed together. So we're going to mix the wet together. Chris has got the 3 eggs in the pan. He's going to add a cup of water, and then he's going to add his half a cup of oil, and then he's going to give it a good whisk and get it all mixed together well. Now we're going to add the cake mix into the wet ingredients. We'll get that mixed together, and then the chocolate chips will go in next. His final touch for this before it goes in the pot is he's going to put some chocolate chips in. Chris, go ahead and dump about half of that bag of chocolate chips in. What he's going to do is he's going to dump these chocolate chips in, stir that, and then once he pours the cake mix into the pot, he'll put the rest of the chocolate chips in so that it's evenly distributed around the whole thing. We've got our prepped Dutch oven. We've got our prepped cake mix with the chocolate chips. Chris is going to go ahead and pour that in the pot now. And once it's poured in, then we'll worry about smoothing it out. We're using a 12-inch Dutch oven. You could do this in a 10 and get a thicker cake. If you went with a 14, you probably want to use a double batch. We'll come back in a little bit and add those chocolate chips to the top. All that's left after this is putting it to some heat. Yes, that's an entire 10-ounce bag of chocolate morsels. This is going to be amazing. We've got a charcoal chimney full of coals. Yeah, I see a glow down there.
Do I need to do it anymore?
I think we're good. So we're going to have those coals going in just a little bit. After that, we'll put the pot on the stove, as it would be, and we'll have cake in about 40 minutes after the coals are ready. After a while, that thick smoke will go away, and we'll have nothing but heat coming out of there. We don't need the coals to be completely white on the top to be completely lit. Won't be long now. The smoke is not near as billowy as it was, and as we look, we're starting to get some flames shooting up the top. So we're going to go ahead and dump those coals. They're going to be completely lit. Chris is going to dump them in a pan. We're going to do this to make it easier for cleanup a little bit later. This cake mix calls for 325 to 350 as its baking temperature. We're going to get close to that by making a ring of coals that are going to go around the bottom of the oven. We're working on that ring right now. The oven's going to go in the middle of the ring, and then we're going to put a ring of coals around the lid, and that's going to get us probably to about 340 degrees. So we've got them just about a ring around the top. We've got a few extras, so we're in pretty good shape. Next thing we'll do is set the timer for 20 minutes. This is a 25 to 35 minute bake. It's easier to check at 20 and put it on for longer than it is to check at 35 and say, oops, we should have taken it off sooner. We are about 20 minutes into our bake. We're going to take a look. So Chris is going to very carefully lift that off. We can see that we're not pulling away from the edges yet, so we're not where we're going to be close to done, but it's getting there. Another 10 minutes or so, and we're going to be in business. And it's a good thing because we timed this perfectly with the sunset, minus about an hour. We're about 25 to almost 30 minutes into this. We're going to take the lid off and check it here real quick.
Good.
Just going to give it a test with the toothpick. Let's check out that toothpick. Boy, that came out clean. What's that mean, folks? It means we've got a cake that's just about done. So Chris, the way we can tell if it's done is first it smells like it's done. So when we're starting to smell that really good cooked smell, it's getting pretty close. The other thing we can look at is the edges. You'll notice how the edge of the cake is pulling away a little bit from the edge of the pan. So that's a clear sign. The last thing is the toothpick test. So take that toothpick, slide it in, and let's take a look at it. When that toothpick comes out clean, that tells us that cake is done. So we're going to let this cool, and later on we'll frost it, and then we'll see what it looks like cut, and we'll taste it and see how it tastes. One more thing to add. We used the parchment paper so we could take that cake out of the hot oven. So we're on a cooling rack right now. Notice how easily the parchment paper pulled away. One more sign that that cake is done. Also, all we need to do is wipe out a little bit of that excess oil from the PAM that went into the oven, and it's clean. Why do we use PAM? Well, the PAM helped hold the parchment paper in place. So the next thing we'll see is some frosting, and then we'll cut into it. We've let the cake cool. We've taken the container of frosting and stirred it a bit to loosen it up. So the next step is to glob all that frosting right onto the top of the middle of the cake. We're not too worried about the icing being all the way to the edge, so that's not going to be part of what we're doing. So the next step is just to spread that icing, or frosting, whichever you like to call it, evenly around the top of the cake. So we'll get that done, and then we'll come back and give it a slice here in just a minute. So we're not going to worry about icing the edges of it. We're just going to give it a good covering on the top, and pretty soon we'll cut into it, and it'll be tasting time. Since it's a flat one-layer cake, we could cut it like pie slices. We chose to cut it in squares, which is how we do it when we're doing a potluck out at our fall hang. We're cut, we're served, and now it's time for a taste. Chris, take a taste and tell me what you think. What do you think? And that is Chris's triple chocolate cake. Give it a try. We hope you enjoy it.